The most dangerous people in your life are not your enemies. They aren't the ones who come at you head on. They're the ones who smile at you, shake your hand, and while telling you you're amazing, are busy digging your grave. Betrayal rarely comes from where you expect it, and that's what makes it lethal. Today, we aren't talking about the enemies you see. We're talking about the friends, colleagues, and false allies, the people who know exactly where to strike because you yourself told them where you were vulnerable. You can be betrayed more easily by the one who shakes your hand than by the one who throws a punch. Ever thought about that? We tend to think the biggest threat comes from those who openly hate us. Machiavelli saw something else. The real danger is the false friend or co-worker, the one who praises you when you're around, but undercuts you at the first chance. He who makes another powerful ruins himself. He wrote, "It wasn't bitterness, it was realism. Loyalty is often just a role people play until it no longer serves them." Today, we're exploring Machiavelli's ruthless genius and how to detect, diffuse, and dominate false friends and colleagues, so you don't wake up with a knife in your back. This guide isn't for the faint of heart, it's for survivors. Machiavelli didn't believe in loyalty for loyalty's sake. In The Prince, he wrote that people are ungrateful, fickle, liars, avoid danger, and are greedy for gain. For him, loyalty was a temporary advantage, not a virtue. Most people ally with power only as long as there's something to be gained. When the benefit disappears, so does their attachment. To illustrate this lesson, he often used his favorite example, Cesare Borgia. Borgia rewarded his mercenaries when they were useful, but when a commander became too popular, he sacrificed him in the public square to remind everyone who really held power. Machiavelli admired him not for cruelty, but for the clarity with which he understood. Loyalty is temporary, power is permanent. Jump to the present and look around your office. How many colleagues congratulated you on a promotion, but deep down felt threatened? How many offer help only if it costs them nothing? In competitive organizations, friendship lasts only as long as you're a rung they can step on. When they no longer need you, you become an obstacle. That's why Machiavellian thinking teaches you not to ask who likes you, but who needs you, and who would profit if you fell. Things get subtler. Many will betray you while believing they are still loyal. Ambition conflicts with attachment, and the mind justifies betrayal. I had no choice. I had to protect myself. You won't hear these rationalizations until after the pain has been inflicted. So set aside the assumption that loyalty is permanent, and learn to assess the interests and incentives around you. Who stays by your side when it's no longer convenient? Who takes risks for you, not just says they appreciate you? Those are the ones who deserve your trust, but even with them, verify the facts, not the feelings. The promise was a necessity of the past. The broken word is a necessity of the present. The author warned. Who is more dangerous? The enemy you see, or the friend who smiles at you? There's an old saying, better the devil you know than the devil you don't. And Machiavelli would add, better an open enemy than a friend who hides a dagger. Why? Because the enemy doesn't surprise you. You prepare, defend, counterattack. The false friend knows your plans, weaknesses, and ambitions, and will use them when you're most vulnerable. And yet, not everyone who passes you by is a traitor. Jesus tells a story about a man robbed and left wounded by the road, a priest and a Levite, the very people you'd expect to help, walk right past, ignoring him. A Samaritan from a despised group sees him, takes pity on him, cleans his wounds, and takes him to an inn, paying for his care. The moral? Sometimes compassion and support come from the most unexpected places, and those who should be there for you turn their backs. In our context, the parable reminds us there are truly generous people, not just opportunists. We must be vigilant against the false ones, but also open to recognizing true Samaritans who come from outside our circle. Think of Julius Caesar and Brutus. Caesar didn't die in wars. He died in the Senate, killed by someone he considered close. You too, Brutus? The shock wasn't the physical pain. It was the realization that loyalty had been a masquerade. Today, the same betrayals happen at work. Stolen ideas. Gossip slipped subtly to the boss. Friends who vanish when you face problems. Machiavelli would say, don't get angry. Get analytical. Watch the gap between their words and deeds. Test loyalty with controlled information. Leak it selectively, and see if it ends up where it shouldn't. Ask for help when there's no reward on the horizon, and see how they respond. And above all, don't depend on one person for your reputation or success. A physical wound heals. A wound to your reputation can finish you. How do you recognize false friends? There are a few clear signs. Excessive flattery, endless compliments, especially in public, signal that someone wants to lower your guard. People are so easy to manipulate that a charlatan never lacks victims, warned Machiavelli. If all your jokes are brilliant and every decision genius, it's time to be suspicious. There for the celebration, absent in a crisis. They're around when you're in the spotlight, but disappear when you're criticized or need support. A true ally doesn't hide when the wind shifts. Passive sabotage. They don't attack you directly. They prefer, I'm not saying this, but people are talking. It's their way of planting doubts without getting their hands dirty. Envious of your success. Watch how they react to your good news. Do they smile sincerely or change the subject? Envy is the seed of betrayal. Machiavelli would advise you to analyze people's behavior when you're no longer useful or when you're successful. Stress and pressure reveal their true face. In offices, middle managers often play both ends. They praise you to your superiors and undermine you in private. Don't confront them directly. Document everything. The first sign of a leader's intelligence is to look at the people around him, he said. Once you've identified a potential traitor, you don't need to start an open war. Machiavelli recommended strategic distance. Keep them close enough to watch, but far enough that they don't affect your position. In his model, it's better to extract whatever you can from an unfaithful person than to cast them out and turn them into an active enemy. Practically, you can reassign tasks or reduce their influence without drama. In his view, real power comes from controlling information. It's not essential to have all the good qualities. It's essential to appear to have them, he said. False modesty or strategic ambiguity protects you. Napoleon Bonaparte executed this perfectly. He intentionally leaked false information before battles to mislead his opponents and lure them into traps. In everyday life, this means not telling colleagues everything you dream and plan. Give each person only part of the story. No one should have the full picture except you. Use silence as a weapon when others expect you to react or justify yourself. Keep them guessing. People hate uncertainty, and they'll often talk more, revealing their own intentions. A disciple asked Buddha why he didn't want to answer difficult questions about how the world was made and what the universe is. Buddha replied with an analogy. A man struck by a poisoned arrow refuses to be helped until he finds out who shot him, what caste the attacker was, what the bow was made of. While he insists on getting this information, he dies of the poison. Buddha says, "It makes no sense to waste time on questions that don't help you remove the arrow." In our context, the story teaches us not to get consumed by wondering who betrayed us and why, but to act quickly and strategically to neutralize the effects of the betrayal. Instead of dwelling on why and who, we pull out the poison, treat the wound, and use the lesson to become stronger. When betrayal happens, Machiavelli wouldn't mourn the lost trust. He would use the moment to consolidate his power. He suggested 3 steps: control the narrative, respond strategically, not impulsively, reveal the truth behind the scenes, making others see who the traitor is, extract information, who benefited, who climbed at your expense. This maps your network. Punish selectively, strike once, decisively, to discourage imitators, but don't overreact emotionally. A modern example is Steve Jobs. After being pushed out of his own company, he built other successful projects, returned triumphant, and turned betrayal into an asset. In the end, Machiavelli's lesson remains stark. Promises are made to be broken when interest demands it. People will support you until it's no longer useful for them to do so. They'll applaud you as long as your success doesn't eclipse their ambitions. If you're not alert, you'll be blindsided. But if you're vigilant, you gain a clarity most lack. Measure loyalty by their interests, not by their words. Build alliances on utility, not on feelings. Let betrayal become ammunition for your strategies. In a world of masks, the Machiavellian doesn't look at smiles. He watches the hands and controls the game. Thank you for listening. If you'd like to support me, you can subscribe to the channel. If you felt that something you heard speaks to you, hit like, stay, listen, come back for more. At the beginning, it was just me. Now, we're together. Here you're not chasing crowds, but truths that rest quietly in silence. Until next time, I hope you find your own path too.